Okay, so you got your mental prototype? Good. This step has nothing to do with your mental prototype. I know, after you worked on it so hard, I'm a terrible person, but step one I call the awareness step. Now, other people who teach this prayer process call it the recognition step. I don't like that word. I'm a writer, I care about words, so I fuss over them. I call it the awareness step because in it you will acknowledge that everything is composed of the substance of God. That, the clothes you're wearing are God being clothes, the chair you're sitting is God being a chair, the car you're driving is God being a car, the other people in your life are God being those other people. It's all God. Now, if you saw the first series of videos, I hammered it into your head over and over and over that everything is made of the substance of God. And I told you in video 1 that that was the core understanding you had to have to live the spiritual but not religious life in a profitable way. This is why that is, this step in prayer. Carl Sagan, at the end of his wonderful TV series, Cosmos, he shows us a montage of waterfalls and trees and birds and moons and planets, and he says, this is what hydrogen atoms can do given a few billion years to play around in. I would take the material component out of that completely and say this is what spirit can do given a few billion years to play around in. Maybe you're like I was back in the day. When I took myself off the religious path and put myself on the spiritual path, it took me years to get that idea out of my head that God was an angry Caucasian giant sitting on a throne in the clouds keeping a watchful eye on my penis. Now, rationally, I knew God wasn't like that. Rationally, I understood that the universe couldn't exist if God was like that. But these images that get ground into our brains over the course of our childhood, they do not give up without a fight. It might be with you for a while, that kind of iconography. That's okay, because what I'm teaching you in practical prayer is a process of rational thought. So you can just go with what you rationally understand. The God I presented to you in the first series of videos, this very rational God. And if those old images crop up and that old superstitions attached to them, let them. That's fine, as long as you stay focused on what you know, not on what you're feeling. Something that might help you with that is an activity called practicing the presence. And practicing the presence comes from a man named Brother Lawrence. He was a peasant born in a small village in southern France in the 17th century. He joined the military, he fought in the 30 Years' War, worked in Paris for a while, and then he decided to join a Carmelite monastery as a lay brother, which in those days was a pretty nice quality of life. And he was expecting a life of contemplation and singing praise and glorifying God, blah, blah, blah. But because he was a lay brother, he was assigned to scrubbing pots in the monastery's kitchens. And in the 17th century, there was no Brillo, so scrubbing pots was murderously hard and very much not what he signed on for. So to salvage his situation, he decided that he was going to scrub pots as if he was scrubbing pots in the presence of God, which you and I know he actually was. And he made this a daily spiritual practice for days and weeks and months and years. And over the course of time, he elevated himself to a very high, clear place in consciousness. He really developed an extraordinary spiritual awareness for himself, so powerful that it actually affected people who were just in a room with him. And eventually, noblemen and prelates and princes, merchants, very important men, would come to the monastery to sit and talk to Brother Lawrence about whatever problem they were facing in their life and careers. And Lawrence was a yokel from Spadokel. He had no idea what they were talking about. He couldn't give them advice. But just sitting in the room with him would cause these men to have incredible epiphanies. That's the solution. Yeah, I know what to do about that. Okay. And he developed a Europe-wide reputation for this extraordinary faculty of his. And he was eventually canonized by the Catholic Church. Okay, who cares? But the point is, this simple practice he engaged in raised him up spectacularly. So it is a very good practice for you to spend a day reminding yourself every time it occurs to you that everything around you is made of the substance of God. The people in your life are God being those people. The chair you're sitting in is God being a chair. The air you're breathing is God being air. The sunshine is God being sun, etc., etc. If you can do that consistently over a period of time, and not like Brother Lawrence, not days and months and years, but just for a few hours a day, get yourself into that place, you can make extraordinary strides in your spiritual evolution without even having to do the prayer practice I'm teaching you in these videos. But it is a good exercise to do for a day or so, once in a while. I still do it. Okay, well, anyway, you need to get to work on that. Yeah, that's it. See you in step 2.